He is also the president of Smoke Free Low Country that is working on point of sale work. And he's going to talk about that today and tell you why that's important and what they're working on in Charleston. So Cindy, unmute yourself, share your screen, and it's all yours.
Good morning, everybody. So thank you for having me. Let me share my screen. Okay, can everybody see the screen?
If you have multiple screens, it's always a tricky thing.
Okay, you see multiple screens?
No, we see you, but I have found that people with multiple screens get a little messed up trying to share the screen. So your screen has not been shared to us yet.
Okay.
And I don't know the trick because I'm not a multiple screen gal. Anybody here multiple screen person that knows can share with Cindy how to make that, get it up there, the right one?
Okay. Share.
There you go.
No,
Okay, we see your desktop. So now you need to click on the PowerPoint. Yep. Done. Thank you. And then if you want, right.
No, everybody can see it?
Yes, and you're in PowerPoint. Do you want to launch the presentation?
That's what I did. I click. So because of multiple screen, as you said. Okay, let me see.
I need to figure out this so that I can share with other people.
So it shows, what does it show? It shows just the
shows PowerPoint open. So we see all of the
slides.
We see all the guides and things across the top, like you're in the application. We see the application.
Okay. Let me see.
Click the one that says resume slideshow. Well, I don't know for sure. It's a screen thing, Cindy.
Cindy, there's also a bottom of the lower right that you can just hit slideshow.
That's what I was trying. Okay, that's okay. Slideshow.
You could try ending your screen share and then click share screen again. And then when it gives you the multiple pictures of what you want to share, if you click on the actual presentation and not the PowerPoint application, it might work.
Okay. Because
I'm going this if we need to also, it's okay.
Because I don't want to. Let me do this.
If you go to like you see slideshow at the top, like those tabs that say animation slideshow. You see where it says slideshow, yeah, like next to animations and record at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, click on slideshow, like at the very top in those.
Done that. I think he's having.
Where it says animation, slideshow, and record, click the slideshow option.
Okay. Animation.
Yeah, and then slideshow right next to it, click on that.
Okay, now on my screen I have multiple new, oh no, that's a new share.
Yeah. Yeah, and click. Because under slideshow, it should have an option to like start the slideshow. So yeah, at the top.
Yeah, I thought by doing the one in the bottom will give me just, why is this giving me that now? No.
Click.
You know how to move things to your different screens? It's a screen issue.
Okay, let me do this. Let me close it. Yeah. Let me stop sharing first. Maybe.
Yeah. Honestly, the other thing that everybody could do is there's a way on Zoom to, as the viewer, to adjust how big you see what's being shared. So even if you can't do it as a slideshow, the rest of us could just adjust the.
Okay, let me try this. Let me try this.
One more time, and we can do it in the app if we need to.
Okay, let me do this. Share the screen. There. How about now?
Yes.
Because I just take it off other screen. I'm like, I'm done doing it. Okay, my apology for that. Okay, so my name is Sintu Mwangu, and I work with CDH as chronic disease prevention as a health educator, and also I sit as the president for Smoke Free Low Country. So today I'm just gonna share what our work when it comes to point of sale, and that is collaboration with the Counter 2 and the Smoke Free South Carolina. Okay. Now I got challenged to move to the next slide. Okay, so as we see, so just background, a point of sale, we know that is referred to location where tobacco products are being, that's where tobacco, you can purchase tobacco, and also is the place where tobacco is introduced to the community, and also is kind of like is a marketing channel where the tobacco company actually spend a lot of money promoting tobacco to community. So these pictures you see there is pretty much here in Charleston County. That's how our tobacco retail store look like when you go to the stores. And on your right side is pretty much inside the store. That's where you see tobacco products closer to candy, and there are 3 feet off the floor. So what's the problem? So as you see that in Charleston County, what we found is there's a lot of tobacco advertisement, especially in the city of Charleston and the North Charleston. And this is how it looked like. You walk in, you can see here's a gum and here's a bunch of tobacco products selling next to it, okay? And that's what we find it as an issue. So as a coalition, we go in, and also before that, also, if we think like somebody living in that community, you know, who's trying to quit, how can they manage to quit tobacco when they are overwhelmed with all this advertisement in their community? So we believe that's going to be very challenging, you know, a climbing battle kind of, if we allow this practicing continue in our communities. So as coalition and in partnering with the Counter 2 and Smoke Free South Carolina, we are able to assess the stores, which are 1,000 feet from school. And before, as you see, they have tobacco advertisement all over the door entrance. And then after talking to the store managers and retail stores, they were able to take those advertisement out, and that through education and talking to them. And this is a similar thing. Just another store to show an example is pretty much overwhelmed with a bunch of advertisement. And then after talking about the signage policies and what they can do better, they were able to change their practicing. So with the help of Counter 2, we were able to generate data. This is 2018 data for Charleston after assessing those stores. So we found out that 97% of tobacco retail stores sold cigarillos, little cigars, and brands. And then 95 sold the flavored smokeless tobaccos. And then 91 sold the flavored cigarettes. 14% ads were 3 feet off the floor, means targeting kids. And then 12% had ads near candy, the same way we say that is targeting kids. And then 3% of tobacco retail stores in Charleston were kind of self-service. So what is our work as coalition? So we were able to promote the signage ordinance in municipalities that contain tobacco retail store near 1,000 feet of school, which has more of those tobacco stores in Charleston, North Charleston. Also, we were able to collaborate with the store owners, the managers, you know, and we talk with them like, hey, what can we work together to be successful in order for them to follow through the policies of when it comes to signage or point of sale guidance. And also we work very closely with the schools, Charleston School District, We sit down with the school boards, and the goal is the same way, to align the work we are doing and trying to see how they can help us engaging on how to prevent youth tobacco advertisement to youth, or using be part of tobacco problem, prevention. And also in Charleston, we were able to work with the city of Charleston, with the mayor, John Kirkebag, especially. They have, they call City of Charleston Health and Wellness Advisory Committee. So that group, they're pretty much pro-health, I can say. We were able to work with them, pushing when it comes to policies. And also we work with the School Health Advisory Committee, is another group where they pretty much work with the schools when it comes to youth tobacco use and vaping, and helping those youth maybe getting some counseling and so on. And we have a youth volunteer. We work with the Keep Charleston Beauty. This is pretty much when we focus on signage ordinance, because sometimes you go to the area and it's all just like I use the word trashed with the tobacco advertisement. So we're trying to say, hey, beautification of the city, you cannot have a city look like just like a tobacco and the alcohol advertisement all over, so they're helping us with that. And also we're able, as I said, working with the law enforcement when it comes to signer, when they go and they kind of navigate assessing the store, so they should not sell tobacco to minors. So we have that group, and we're trying to work with them. And also we're trying to work with the regional manager for this retail store. We found out that most of the stores, they cannot make a decision themselves. So the regional managers, they're the one who make decisions, what kind of advertisement is supposed to be put in their tobacco retail stores. So this is kind of I can say recognition. We identified like a tennis store last year, which are 1,000 feet from school, and they were they're doing better job compared to the other retail stores when it comes to promoting tobacco to youth. So pretty much they're following signage ordinance. They're following, they're pretty much working with us when it comes to not promoting tobacco to kids. So moving forward as coalition for 2022, our goal is, right now we've been assigned with the counter to in smoke-free South Carolina, 310 stores. So we are in the progress of working with the different coalition partners, assessing those stores, and hopefully we can generate better data for upcoming future, so we can share with the folks when it comes to how it look like maybe North Charleston, not present in any other area of Charleston. And also we continue to collaborate with Breathe Easy, American Heart Association, with the school and other nonprofit organization. So we plan to create kind of like a public health campaign to increase awareness when it comes to point of sale and smoke-free policies. Okay. And here's kind of like I was just trying to show what do we have in Charleston and what are the challenges we face moving forward when it comes to policies and smoke-free policies. So as you see here, for instance, Charleston, they have a smoke-free policies. But if you go like in the city of North Charleston, they don't have a smoke-free policy. So those areas, when you go, there's no smoke-free policies, you will see the way how tobacco company targeting those areas. So it's kind of like to highlight that our work is not done yet. We have a long way to go. Within the same county, there's so many packets of different ordinance. So it's kind of like challenging navigating that, and make our work more effective. And pretty much that's all I have. So if there's any question, I know I went fast because I didn't want to chunk most of the time, with the technicality, but those are kind of the things that we're trying to do as coalition.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I do have a question before everybody else goes. I'm being a little selfish here. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Charleston County Ordinance is? What does it say about signage and point of sale?
So for Charleston County, the problem is there's no county ordinance. So each city created their own policies. So it's up to the local residents, educating their policymakers, if they want that change. For instance, Mount Pleasant, we know 2018, they made like that part of their policy, like a city policy that you cannot just put signs all over your store. They have I think like 15% of the whatever the windows, that's much they can put advertisement, and then has to be, they call beautification. So they push that their city has to be beauty, when it comes to tobacco advertisement. Compared to North Charleston, they don't have that, So people, like a tobacco company advertise those tobacco material the way how they wish, We dig some of them, they have it, but who enforce it? And that's what we find is a challenge, Some of them, they do have it, but the enforcement piece is not there. So I think it's an upcoming battle of like educating our community members and the policymakers maybe to uphold those policies, to put them in place.
Thank you. And one other thing, and I promise it'll be my last one for now. When you work with the retailers and they agree to take down their signage, how long of a process is that to talk to them, to work on it? What is it like going through that process to try to convince the retailers to do it differently?
So most of them, they say, we don't want to sell tobacco to kids to use, to underage kids. And then we say like, but do you know your tobacco sign is 3 feet off the floor? Do you know that you're not intended to target a grown-ups, We are all like 5 feet or 4 feet, we cannot go 3 feet below, trying to see. They say, oh, I didn't know that. So they didn't know, most of them, they didn't know. So once we talk to them right away, they'll rip it off, they'll take those signs. Some of them, they don't have that authority. So they have to say like, I have to call up my regional manager, she or he is the one who has to make that decision, because we're just like, most of them, let's say Shell or Citco or Sunoco, for instance, they'll tell you that, oh, they're the one, the corporate company put this advertisement. We're not doing it, So then we ask the number for the corporate. Sometimes we get positive, sometimes negative, it's kind of key who you're talking to, Oh, you're muted.
I was telling everybody else, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or use the little reaction and raise your hand. Y'all just jump in. I know y'all have got questions. It's interesting stuff here.
Hey, Cynthia, this is Kenny. How are you?
Good. How are you, Kenny?
Good. I'm very proud of your work, and thank you for continuing to do this from the original baseline that you had. Hey, do you have this by zip code?
This is the work we hope to generate. So my goal, for instance, right now, we have 310 stores we have to assess. And that's what I'm trying to identify, like the location. Maybe we can see where this tobacco store, the tobacco company maybe put more of their advertisement, and then compare with maybe Mount Pleasant, which they already have their ordinance, in place, and trying to see the quality of life when we talk about maybe the city of North Charleston, which don't have a smoke-free policy, and how the individual live their quality of life. But we don't have it by zip code yet. I know Jackie, she's in this call as well. When she gave us this random data for 310 stores, we can pinpoint, I hope, in the future by zip code. And also I work with the Division of Tobacco with DHEC. So hopefully that's the thing we have ongoing conversation. And we say, like, you know, it would be very beneficial, you know, to pinpoint this tobacco data with the zip code. Hopefully we can chunk through maybe this zip code and see like how much tobacco stores they have, you know, and how that community is impacted by that, by looking that way. We hope moving forward.
Thank you.
And adding to that, that's the thing I think I asked everybody who participated in assessing store now to take pictures, you know, of every store, because all the stores we have in our data has a zip code. So my goal is to capture the picture, how the store look like outside, and then maybe we can generate some kind of like a photo voice data, you know. We can say, look at this zip code and how the tobacco retail store practicing, you know, the tobacco company practicing the advertisement when it comes to point of sale. You know, that kind of help us, you know, to go and see the disparity, you know, regarding maybe one area compared to another.
Well, here's the other thing that you could do is if wherever a organization goes to get a license to sell anything in the Charleston area or at the state level, I know here in Georgia, it's the Secretary of State's office. We can purchase here in Georgia a list of businesses that sell tobacco products throughout the state or throughout a city. And we could, once we get that data, you have to buy it though, but you know, in order to get that data, once you get it, you can start the process of identifying the number of tobacco vendors in a zip code. That's one way to do it. You know, depending on the ease of getting that data, and you can basically feel that if there's an overabundance of tobacco vendors in a particular zip code, and that zip code is primarily populated by poor people or African Americans, low-income folks, then that is the question then begs, is that a zoning issue? Is that legalized by a zoning issue? And in some municipalities, it was a zoning issue, and a zone was allowed to be created legally for that to happen. If it's not a zoning issue, and the industry was able to make that happen nonetheless, the question is how is it that the poor and African American communities are not protected when the upwardly mobile white communities appear to be protected from all of this advertising? And that is a decision to put in front of decision makers. And the more that we can challenge decision makers with reality, then if they choose to not do anything about reality, then they'll be held accountable to that. But if they are confronted with reality, then hopefully that would move them to doing something as we would recommend, is to getting all this stuff off our shelves.
Thank you.
Kenny,
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question for Kenny. When you talk about getting the retailer list from the Secretary of State office, how do we know which retailers are actually selling tobacco? Because they're not licensed to be tobacco retailers.
Well, if they're convenience stores, we know that convenience stores sell tobacco products. The way we do it is we go by convenience stores, supermarkets. If a retailer is selling snacks and things of that nature, they're also selling cigarettes. So there are categories that you can request that will give you the information that you need to determine how many tobacco vendors are in your zip code.
Thank you. That makes sense. Other questions, folks? I mean, I have a bunch, but I'm gonna let y'all go.
Also include gas stations in that, in your requests. Gas stations, convenience stores, supermarkets, all that.
I have a question, Cindy. I'm Tara, and I'm fairly new to this world, so I really appreciate the before and after pictures. I like visuals, and that really helped me with the the end result of the assessments that are being done. I just had a question about the like the certificate plaques that the store owners were given. I really liked those, and I like the pictures, and I'm sure that helps whenever you're talking to other retailers, just as something they receive for their work. Is that something that your coalition provides, or is that something that Counter Tools provides?
So that is something our coalition decided to do. It's kind of like we go there and we give them this hard time, how to follow the policies, and give them folders with education material. We decide, say, it would be like a nice things maybe to give them something, actually to acknowledge their collaboration with us. And also, I think we were able to post some of this acknowledgement. We asked them if it's okay to put in the newspaper, local newspaper, in our social media. So, but the thing I think we did, we cover all the background with the tobacco stuff when we did that. So this is just like the fresh stuff I share with you guys. But the one which went to the community, it didn't show like a Newport. We didn't want to promote Newport. We didn't want to promote it. So we kind of block the background, and we just show the individuals. They will say like, hey, you can put me in the newspaper, that's fine, So we did that in our kind of promoting, raising awareness that we have some stores which they are willing to work with us. Yes.
Neat. I like that.
And one of the things I wanted to ask was, it looked like you were going to do a survey of like another 310 retailers. How many retailers do you know of, or in the county? And by the way, I will say with this photo, I did notice that like it is so strange. They're taking steps in the right direction, but they're all still standing in front of all the cigarettes.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
understand. It was like, I understand. Like now that you say that, I recognize your challenge of how do you promote this kind of photo, because they're still standing in front of all these products. But it's fascinating.
Correct. Yeah. So Charleston County has more than 800 and some stores. So and it's harder to go in assessing all of them. So Counter Tool, with the help of Jackie and Counter Tool, they random select the stores, So, and then that's what we're working with that. So whatever, they're our grantee, so they give us the grants to do those assessment. Yeah, and that's why I say, like, sometimes, yes, it's challenge, to get to recruit folks, to have manpower to go in the community, to go through these stores and ask you questions. Some of them, they might be very combative, they don't want to, who are you? We don't want you here, That's a normal reaction when you go through those stores, they're trying to protect the business as well. So it's kind of like it's a work, I can say, but it's rewarding. When you go there, you communicate with them. Some of them, they're very willing to work with you, and sometimes we find a big challenge with the bigger stores, like it could be like Walgreens, it could be Kroger's, you'd be like shocked. They should be, but those sometimes we have like bigger challenge to the bigger corporate, compared to just the mom and pop, those tiny stores, but we try the best we can. We have a lot of stores to assess, and we try the best we can. So all these are just the one I presented. They are 1,000 feet from school. So they're very close to school. So the kids can just walk and see that. So that's why the first focus of us was like, what, maybe we can just try with working with the schools, working with them, trying to say like, hey, please do not promote to the kids. Okay, you already do enough damage, but we don't want you to do damage for the next generation as well, and that's what our goal was.
And I appreciate the work, Cindy, and this is you can assess many more convenience stores to further illustrate that there's a problem, and recognizing that what I'm recommending is that you don't have to do an additional 300 or try to reach all of them. Just with this, and recognizing that if you can identify the percentage that are in poor and Black neighborhoods, and if you can further illustrate that they're in close proximity to schools, that's for me, and anyone else can chime in, that's a great deal of ammunition to share with the press and to share with locally elected officials who either know this stuff and ignore it, or it could be enlightening to folks for the first time. And for me, it's enough information for the ask of eliminating the sale of these products in our communities.
Thank you. We try the best we can.
Any other questions? I have a few, but they've sort of gone off to the side. Jackie Boards from Counter Tools is on, and I don't know if Jackie, you want to chime in a little bit about just y'all's experience in, supporting these assessments in other states as well as our state, and how it helps lead to some policy change and getting the attention of, local leaders.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie. Yeah, I think so. We work with a lot of different states at Counter Tools, and mostly all of our states do some sort of assessment, as Cynthia is talking about. So yeah, I think it's definitely a national thing, and it's very important to us at Counter Tools, and just getting that data, getting that evidence about what is happening at the local level. I mean, it's just important, just in general, for policy work or just for education, for awareness building and all of that. So yeah, I think assessments have definitely been done nationally, and we have that data that we can pull from nationally for at least the states that we work with at Counter Tools. And I think for South Carolina specifically, so right now, with Cinti kind of explaining the process for this year, there are a few other counties that are collecting data. So we'll have that data from those counties. We're kind of doing like a smaller data collection effort. What we've been trying to do over the years is, like, each year we've done like a set of counties to try to reach like the entire state of getting data for different counties across the state. So we've kind of done that over the last few years. And then this time around, we're doing kind of a smaller effort for counties like what Cinti is under, and trying to get that more of that data and all of that. So yeah, I think that's kind of the plan now, is a smaller effort and those few counties. And as Cinti explained, I think, it's really important, and as other folks have talked about, it's really important to really understand that data and what it really means. You can collect data across 300 stores, for instance, but where is that data coming from? What are those retailers that are in certain neighborhoods and certain areas? As Kenny was mentioning, like what are the characteristics of where they are and who is coming to these places, and kind of making those linkages. So I think the most important part is definitely doing the assessments, and it's really important to get that evidence, that data, and then telling that story, and how those retailers and how those tobacco products affect certain populations and certain communities. So yeah, I think it's kind of like that, the gathering, the understanding the evidence, and then working towards education. And that's why I really like what Cinti is doing, because a lot of folks don't go that kind of second mile of really targeting specific retailers, talking to them, having those conversations, and asking them to make these changes, which sometimes can be hard because they're dealing with big corporations and things like that kind of set the rules. But I think Cinti and his work is a good example of, doing that extra step, which I think is important when you may not be able to, pass a policy right then and there, but you can definitely ask retailers to see if they can make any changes in the meantime of any large scale policy work. So yeah, I think that's kind of what we've seen is yeah, just really telling that story with the data, I think is important, and really calling out what's key in the data and where these places are located in comparison to certain population groups and communities. So yeah, I think that's kind of an overview of everything, but yeah, I think that kind of covers it. But yeah, I think it's super important to collect this data. I mean, it's very hard to understand what's happening on the ground unless you're going into these stores and seeing. I know when I first started at Counter Tools, it's like, oh, I didn't even realize all of these advertisements and products were in these stores, but they really are. And for a person who's trying to quit smoking, or a young person, as Cindy mentioned, who's coming into stores, like, all of this makes a difference. All of these ads, this marketing makes a huge difference. So yeah, I think that hopefully that answers your question, Rebecca, but
that's good.
Yeah.
No, thanks. The other counties, I think most of you know Dr. David Keeley and York County, they've collected data. And then Just Say Something out of Greenville, I can't remember how long it's been since they've done it. I know that Barbara on our team is going to be doing assessments in Chesterfield County. So we continue to work with Counter Tools and on focus areas to do assessments. All 45 of 46 South Carolina counties did assessments a couple of years ago. It was pre-pandemic. And then so that data is in the Counter Tools database that we use. And then the organizations that are taking it further, what Cindy's doing with Low Country, and then York County, and then up in Greenville County. And we'll have presentations from those others also in subsequent roundtables, so everyone can learn from the other groups as well. Anybody else have any questions or comments? They can be related to Cindy's presentation or not. It can be related to our summit, which I hope to see most of you there. Anything, anybody? Cindy, anything you want to say in closing? Right, sorry, you just shut down your screen.
Oh, sorry. No, I just say thank you for having me, and I think we all can kind of try to make a difference, in one way or another, when it comes to tobacco, pushing whatever necessary, to change the policy and the practices, in our community. So there's a way to get it done. I know it's slowly, but we'll get there one day.
Yeah, it's a long-term investment. Tara just came on board as our community engagement coordinator, and I've told her many, many times, this is a long-term investment. Yeah, and so thank everybody on here for everything you do related to tobacco, because we know how much effort it is and how much time it takes. So Cindy, thank you so much. That was just perfect. And we are not going to have a roundtable in May because it's going to be just the week after our summit, and it's also Memorial Day weekend, so we'll take a pass. And just keep your eyes on the newsletter or the listserv, whichever one you get and read more frequently, with announcements for the summer presentations. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, or you want to volunteer to be a facilitator or a host, as we're calling it, at these roundtables, we'd love to have you speaking. I'm going to try to plan ahead a little bit more for the next few ones over the summer and fall. So we want to get them booked up. Any other closing, comments? Okay, Tara, hang on there with me, and everybody have a lovely weekend and go enjoy spring while maybe it's here until it gets cold again, or whatever's going to happen next, because there's no rain and it's spring. And in Columbia, most of the pollen has washed away, so you can sit outside without getting disgusting.
Yes. Thank you. Great meeting.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.